Hey everybody. Welcome back. It's Friday. And so yeah, we got some stuff that's due and now we got a new one that's due and I have actually picked um the assignment, which will be the third assignment or third written assignment. And congratulations to those who actually suggested it. And actually, oh, well, now it's basically I have to figure out exactly who proposed it and who didn't. So it's kind of a long story and I'll put that in my announcement. But you'll be getting a full grade extra credit. Anyway, let me actually share the screen here. So yeah, we have no readings to talk about today because we've actually covered pretty much most of those already, if you can believe that. And yes, this is not what I'm looking for. I had a couple of people like actually have office hours, things like that. So yeah, feel free to do that if you're if you have any kind of questions or anything like that, because I know we're moving at a fast pace here. So I can totally understand, like if you're not quite caught up on things. Okay. So the third assignment, which is due on Wednesday. Okay. So that's actually a little less than a week. Okay. And then we have another assignment coming in on Monday, which I'll talk about in Monday's lecture. But actually, I'll talk. Actually, that lecture actually will be a lecture that has already been taped, and I will discuss that. Okay, in in the assignments and in my emails to you, etc. So, but first, this third assignment, summer 2023 student reaction to football team. Is it worth it? I've done these reaction stories for a number of years. I actually haven't done this one yet, but the highest paid employee at in New Jersey is actually Greg Schiano. So and we have actually had some success. I could say we won a bowl. I think it was right since we moved to the Big Ten. But there's been a lot of like money that's been pumped into this program. Greg Schiano had some success when he wasn't in the Big Ten, like with winning records and everything back in the 2000s. But it's actually like a question, is it worth it? The amount of money that goes into it. And what I want you to do is actually get student reaction. Okay, I know like a bunch of you are not actually around students right now, so a way to solve that is I have a discussion point. Okay, that's set up. A lot of effort and money has gone into the program to boost it to a legal level. Is it worth it? Are you getting your bang for your buck? Please provide an opinion as well as an anecdote, like being at a game, like maybe like you're in favor of the money being like pumped into the you want to express your opinion that you feel like you're in favor of basically the money being pumped into the amount of money that's being spent. They actually do make a lot of money for the university, these programs. I'm not sure if Rutgers does on the same level as Nebraska, but but basically like having an anecdote, as I described to you in my last lecture would help, like maybe like, so and so was at a game and basically, like saw like the enthusiasm and the fervor around there and said, this is worth it or something like that. It's an anecdote. It's basically a slice of life that basically helps illuminate the larger points of your story. Okay. Or maybe like, you're against it. And maybe the anecdote would be like, I sit in the classroom with no heat, or I sit in the classroom with no air conditioning. And, I wonder why, like, they spend much money on facilities, why I sit there sweating or something like that in the middle of the summertime. Um, that could be another anecdote, of course, also like you could also have like a mixed opinion on it, basically kind of go both ways on it. Okay. So that is posted as well. So basically everybody should contribute to that. It's another also way I gauge class participation. Everybody should contribute to it. Yes, I know you're taking off your reporter hat to do this to be a source. Please, the only rule there is just don't quote yourself. That's all. Okay, just quote other people there. Okay. This will be up for the duration of the assignment as well as the rewrite. Okay. But anyway, so please do this story. Congratulations for proposal. You'll be getting extra credit. Please get student reaction to the football team, the amount of money that's spent on it. Rutgers spent a lot of money to boost the team into a top level product, but it hasn't always gone that way. I don't mean to add a little color, I mean my own slant there, but how do the students feel? Maybe you feel like it's going to eventually pay off down the road. Do they feel like you're getting a good bang for their buck? Again, I have created a discussion point or provide substance to the story. This again, international students, you're not around, so this will be good for the international students, that sort of thing. But not just those people who maybe aren't around classrooms right now or around Rutgers University. So anybody really, anybody, because probably maybe all of you, if not most of you, are not around Rutgers University right now, so you can't necessarily interview students. Maybe you know other students, you can text them or something. But hopefully just please contribute to this discussion point, and we'll have like reaction laid out there for you and you can use that for this story. Okay, so basically like this discussion point, provide feedback, discussion points, blah blah blah, to write the story. If you're around campus, it helps. And please provide an opinion and an anecdote. So what I want you to do is actually interview or take from the discussion point 3 to 5 students. And like I say in this video, outside of the discussion point, let me know if you need help in getting students. Maybe you don't want to use the discussion points or whatever. Like I said, I have this created discussion question that will help students provide answers to this question, and participate will count in your class participation grade. So yes, there is class participation in this class, as I mentioned before. Okay, and as I noted in the syllabus, the story is as I know, so the story is 500, 800 words. So we're going back to actual stories from doing the the Leeds worksheets. Okay, theme the story around your central prevailing consensus opinion with a declarative sentence in your lead. Okay, and that's what you got to really keep in mind. I saw a number of leads in the Leeds worksheets that were not declarative sentence, not right to the point as they should have been. I'll talk about that too. Okay. So Rutgers, you could be like Rutgers and say they're pleased or not pleased with the amount of money that's and effort the university has put into the football program. Okay. I know it's not a poll, by the way. It's not the most scientific one either. Okay. It's just basically just getting a window, looking through a window, getting a glimpse of how people feel the football program is and how whether it's paying off or not. It's just supposed to provide some sort of window to that. This is essentially what this is what news organizations do. Okay, they actually like try to, they can't necessarily take a poll, so they try to get some sort of like flavor or feeling out there of what it's like. Okay, here's an example of a typical reaction story that work. I'm sorry, I meant to actually call this up already. And Rutgers didn't say they have mixed opinions about the ban on tobacco products on campus from last year. Some saying that it didn't work, while others claiming that anything can help. Some students argue that they're excited. So basically, you have your straight lead. Basically, it's showing mixed opinions on it. You could have like essentially like, let's say you interview 6 people. It could be like 3 for, 3 against, or whatever. Or maybe they're all just have like mixed opinions with themselves. They can't really decide. Okay. So then you have a transition that basically kind of sets off the first point about that. Okay, so what's one of those opinions? Okay, some students argue they're excited about the implementation of banning tobacco products because they do not like holding their breath when they pass. So you basically kind of break it down into smaller pieces to show one reason why they don't like, or why they like this idea of banning. Okay, and then we got an anecdote. Kyle Gennady, a student, said he hates dealing with the smokers when he waits for the bus every morning because he stands in a cloud of smoke and make everything difficult. Just like this past week, actually, we had all this smoke and haze going over Rutgers University and etc. I mean, so basically, this brings it down into the real life. So basically, you have the kind of more macro to micro. Macro, basically, people feeling they have mixed opinions. One point, basically, what's one of those mixed opinions that people don't like? People like holding their breath, blah blah blah. And then you go down to even more granular detail, basically being right there on the ground, Rutgers University, Kyle Gennady, and how he feels about it, hates being in the cloud of smoke. And then maybe you go with a quote, okay? Then you go to like another transition. Here's another one who believes that it's great for campus activities because smoking is a deterrent for many students. This person was, and this is an anecdote, person is responsible for setting up fun events for students at Rutgers, including music, fun, food, and games. Okay, then you got other students, then you go to the mixed opinions. So you got the other students said the tobacco ban is unethical because an institution designed to educate should not have the right to dictate their health choices. Kenji Demarest is a student who does not have a strong opinion on the subject, believes in personal freedom, and believes the schools that should not update implement their agendas on students. Okay, he thought they should create smoky sections for people to smoke. So that's his anecdote right there for in favor of it. I think we even have like a smoker in here, basically. I met my first friend smoking casually, and he asked me for a light. Okay. So yeah. So how would you handle that in this particular case with the football? Okay, so I mean, basically along the lines of this, you probably maybe like you used to have Rutgers students don't like how much, this is gonna be exactly like this, how much money is pumped into the football program. And what you want to try to do is you want to try to get like an idea and an angle. The overall idea is basically how do they feel about it? But what's like kind of like an overall angle that kind of sharpens this lead a little bit, saying it harms the school, okay? And then some general lead that basically like this, it basically kind of like paints like what the entire picture would be and how they feel about it, okay? And then you can break it down in the transition. Some students say the classrooms are declining and more money needs to go in that direction. So you have a transition that kind of sets off like one of those points that backs up the lead. Okay, they don't like how much money being pumped in. Here's one of the reasons why. It's because everything's declining. Okay. All right, and then you go into like an anecdote. John Jones said he's tired of, like I said before, sitting in a summer classroom with no air conditioning and sweating his butt off or something like that. And you want to paraphrase that because you want to basically be the storyteller and kind of like go from point to point, bring people from point to point, one point to the next. Okay. Okay. All right. And then maybe like a quote that kind of like basically like says something along the lines of like, I really can't learn a lot while I'm sweating. Something maybe a little colorful, not too long, and that sort of thing. So it follows that formulaic order. Okay, the lead, the transition, it basically kind of sets off the first point, an anecdote that basically brings it down into the granular real life position, and a quote to help provide some sort of color. Okay. All right, so that's basically what I'm looking for in that, and then you would basically find, rinse, repeat. You basically kind of would continue to follow in that order. All right, sometimes I just really know. Sometimes I have to kind of stop every now and then because I've been going through a thing for the last 2 years called TMJ disorder that actually it kind of affects my jaw and the muscles that come out of it. So I have to actually stop every now and then. So um anyway, just want to let you know that. But I continue to teach and do fine. So okay, so let's share the screen again. I want to actually show some of the things about the the leads assignment that we could have done better on. Okay. And also what I'm doing is I'm also going to show you I'm going to go back to the reaction story and show you an example of a reaction story that was done on TV and how, basically like how these stories work and how, it's actually really good to actually, you got to like keep in mind that like when you do these reaction stories, like the football program or something, you're not writing a story about the football program. Okay. You're writing a story on the reaction to it. I mean, the football program has been around forever and people have been, complaining about the football program and the amount of money that's been spent on it. And they've been spending a lot of money on the football program forever. So at least, especially the last 20 years, and ever since they entered the Big Ten nearly a decade ago. So that's not new. What's new is maybe the reaction to it, how people feel like maybe 10 years after entering the Big Ten about the football program. That's what you want to emphasize in your story and you want to focus on. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a video of, it was actually a tragedy that happened in at Rutgers, God, 37 years ago now, is it 35? When I was actually a student, and I want to show you how actually, the TV people handled it. It wasn't actually necessarily the best written story in the world, but it was a broadcast story, and I'll show you how they handled it. Okay. Okay, so I want to show you like about this, and I got some big giveaways here, so I hope you're paying attention to this video, and this will be give me a clue whether you are or not, to be honest with you. So, a lot of you like either like you took the headline mode, which I was not looking for. Okay, and to be honest with you, actually, let's see here. So this one. Sorry, Jesse, you don't mean to pick on you here. Where you wrote like too short or too short, you had missing like words. Like survey, this said survey shows that 3 to 4 children die every day. That's not a sentence. A sentence begins with an okay? So it's a survey shows that 3 to 4 children die every day, which actually is I believe is what is the statistics that resonate the most with people in that particular one right there, okay? All right, but this one, police said police arrest 150 abortion. It's not arrest. That's what a headline does. Okay, you say it's a sentence. So you do police arrested. Okay, so don't write it like a headline. Okay, you write it police arrested. It happened in the past. And by the way, 150 protesters. Just 1 second. Okay, do you want to go outside? Go ahead. You want to like keep it like a full sentence, like you're telling the story as though it's something that's already happened. Okay. What I got mostly though was like leads that were just way too long. Okay. Like this one, a survey by the child reveals that the United States witnesses tragic loss of 3 to 4 children daily due to abuse or neglect, with reported cases rising to 2.7 million alarming. Just way too information. What I'm asking you to do actually is to really just kind of pick the one statistic that's like the newest or the biggest thing or the most unique thing. It really resonates with people. And the fact that they're releasing this information is new to people. Okay. And to me, this is actually, you got to almost like put yourself in the reader's footsteps every time you do one of these. This is actually the one that actually really kind of resonates with people to me. I mean, you think about that. When you have an increase from 2.5 to 2.7, it actually almost kind of diminishes the importance of this information, because it almost makes it sound like it's not a big increase. That's not the point you're trying to get across. You're trying to get across that this is still a tragic situation. And look at this, 3 to 4 children die every day. That's terrible. So what you really need to do is you really need to cut these down, whittle these down so that they're readable and that they come across as quickly as possible. So I would have actually maybe just taken out this part right here, okay? Because it says the survey is already attributed to this, and it just has this. And then maybe you'd mention in a following paragraph, 2.5 rose from 2.5 to 2.7 million or something, okay? A lot of you thought it was important to mention. I mean, I'm not saying leave out the number of people at the protest, but what's really important is 150. And this is actually a good question people asked. You can't start a sentence with a number. That's AP style, right? But actually, I mean, you can't start with it. So what you can do is actually start it with 150. You spell it out, okay? You can also, like, what a lot of reporters do is they actually kind of get around it by doing something like that around, okay? But this is just too much, okay? Around 150 were charged for disorderly conduct while it was in a large protest, because that is the newest biggest thing. I mean, it's not just like one person got arrested; it was 150 people got arrested. Okay, so that's a lot of people. I mean, there's been protests where there's been a lot more people arrested, but but that's the big thing right there. So I want the biggest, newest thing, and that's also the last thing. 2,500 people might have showed up, but 150 got arrested. That was the last thing that happened out of that. Okay. The big thing that happened here was the food. Okay, so it was basically not even, I don't think it was even really basically there in that long paragraph. Okay. This is still too long, even though I said to her basically like, 50, you got the 53% there, which is like the big one. That's the big increase. But, basically it really all it needs to say is the State Bureau of Investigation reported. And that's it. That's all you need to do. That's the way people speak. You know, they don't like talk in these long. I mean, you almost get to the point where you would say, "Oh, I get to the point, get to the point, get to the point." Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. There's like a full sentence that basically just tells the story. Okay, and but says it in a simple, most direct, active voice way with the noun before the verb. Okay. All right. So again, that rewrite is due on Monday. Okay. And don't forget your rewrite of your profile assignment is due today, Friday. Okay. So you have the rewrite of the profile due today. You have the leads worksheets rewrite. Yes, everybody should rewrite these, by the way. Okay. And I made that pretty clear. Some of you asked me like, can I rewrite this? Of course you can. I put that in the syllabus. I know it's been a fast period we've been working here, but it's a week now. Okay, so I think now you should be a little bit caught up on this stuff. Um, but anyway, yes, you could please rewrite it. Actually, everybody should rewrite it. If you get an R, you definitely have to rewrite it, or you get an F. And if you get a C or above, except for an A, of course, you should rewrite it. And everybody, I've had people turn R's into F's. Okay, so yes, please rewrite it, and please rewrite those worksheet assignments because those should be the easiest to rewrite. Okay, that's all part of the learning process here is actually rewriting, and especially given our time factor. I mean, the best way you're going to learn actually is for me to actually edit your stories and for you to actually like make them better. Okay, we're supposed to be basically like a team here, basically reporter, writer. Okay, so that's what I want you to do. All right. And then, of course, on Wednesday, you have the reaction to the football program, okay, and whether it's working or not for people, okay. All right, so here's a story. This is really a tragic situation. Yes, I have it on YouTube here, and you'll see why I have it on YouTube. But anyway, so WNBC TV, that's Channel 4 in New York. They did a reaction story essentially. Now they took a long time to get there, but they did a reaction story to a terrible tragedy that happened in 1988, where a pledge died after, I believe, drinking 33 kamikazes, okay, which are a pretty heavy shot. So anyway, it changed a lot of things at university. I mean, some ways it didn't, but like parties were banned for a year, and a lot of people like had to really like kind of change their lives as a result of it. A lot of people got indicted for it. Not a lot of people got convicted. The fraternity, by the way, sits where the Kabod House is now. In case you've been on campus, that's where it is. It's right next to the College Avenue Gymnasium. So anyway, so that was another thing I changed. The university or the fraternity was gone. All right. So anyway, so what they did was, now again, this isn't necessarily the best written story in the world, but they took a long time to get there. What they did was they first came out with the initial update. So it's like they start with one kind of story. It's actually really two stories in one here. They come out with one story that basically says, okay, so here's the update on the latest in this tragedy, basically what the investigation, that sort of thing. So that comes out. Then they come in, they basically go around the campus and they basically get the reaction to the tragedy and how people are dealing with it. And what the reporter does actually is that basically act in transitions. That's when you think of actually writing transitions, they're supposed to be like a guide to guide you through the story from point to point to point, right? And that's essentially what a TV reporter does, is they guide you from point to point to point. They guide you from anecdote to anecdote to anecdote. And what the people who are being interviewed, they're providing anecdotes, the situation, end quotes, that basically help illuminate the larger story. So you'll see how that works. Basically, the transitions are kind of often over almost like pauses and kind of help direct you from point to point. So let's watch and see what goes on. Oops.
Medical tests are still being conducted on the body of a Rutgers University freshman to find out if he drank himself to death at a fraternity pledge party. News 4's Perry Phelps visited the campus today. At first glance, this fraternity.
Okay, so that was the initial report, just to kind of update people on the story. Now this is actually a bit of a long lead they're providing here. I'll tell you when the lead comes in essentially, but they provide like this kind of like colorful, at first glance, almost cliche. You wouldn't believe it's here, blah, blah, blah. This is the old fraternity house, Lambda Chi Alpha, okay?
Looks like any other on the Rutgers University campus, but a closer examination reveals the remnants of an all-night pledge party that has closed the Greek house of Lambda Chi Alpha, a pledge party that has left freshman James Callahan dead, apparently drinking too much, and another student treated at a nearby hospital for alcohol-related illness. The university is in mourning because of it.
Stop it. I mean, they're getting out there. I mean, it's really more of a university reaction. So they're getting more than just students. They're getting like administrators.
It's a terrible situation, terrible incident. And it's one that I think we processed and think carefully about the issues. Callahan was one of 13 students who had been invited to join the all-male fraternity. According to one student, pledges were told to drink until they got sick. And evidently, that's not an uncommon sight.
Evidently, that's not an uncommon sight at the university is actually basically the reaction. That's essentially the lead of this story, okay? And now we'll see the students come in and she's going to help guide you from student to student.
Around the university.
I think a lot of people get very drunk. I think if you ride a campus bus on a Friday or Saturday night, you see people getting sick on themselves. You see people passing out. I think it's a big problem.
It's widespread throughout the campus, whether a fraternity, in the dorms, wherever. And I don't know how they're going to stop it.
Yes, that was me. Anyway, yes, I once had brown hair. Anyway, now they basically give the kind of first the anecdotes basically saying, oh my God, it's like crazy here. I think they actually kind of like misquoted me a little bit. I didn't quite make it sound as big as it was, but whatever, that's fine. 35 years ago. Now she's going to transition to like another point. Okay. And what they usually do in a transition on TV is they actually show what they call a real estate shot. They show like what the university looks like. Look, there's snow back when there used to be snow here.
Callahan and the rest of the students pledging the fraternity were all under the legal drinking age of 21, a legal limit that students admit is easy to get around, and a problem school administrators acknowledge. Try and encourage students to run non-alcoholic weekends.
So basically, the first part of the story, the transition would have been basically like not an uncommon sight. People are puking all over themselves. The second, so that's basically saying the what's going on here. This goes into the why. The why transition basically says something along the lines of, you know, basically like they're getting around the 21 legal age, alcohol legal age limit, and getting the alcohol anyway. So it's not something that can really stop. Okay. The anecdote in the first part was basically like the person talking about like, oh, people getting sick on themselves and all this other stuff. And, you know, that and on the university, on the campus buses and all that stuff. So that would be the granular detail that you would get from an anecdote, a slice of life.
Enforcement regulations and policies, but the pressure is still very, very strong. Adding all of those efforts that we may take.
Fraternities will almost become like drinking clubs now. So that I think it's not about time something like this happens.
What this guy's talking about is an anecdote. He's talking about the fraternities, the drinking clubs, and how they've basically flourished.
And I wish it had been something where it was just a shock, but maybe this will just change the atmosphere of fraternities here to clean up their act.
Do you think it's going to change partying habits here at the school? I don't think so. Not on a long-term basis anyway. I think that for a while things will slow down and then they'll get back to the regular behavior, basically.
Right about that.
And after the fact that Lambda Chi Alpha, all fraternity and sorority parties have been temporarily banned. Harry Peltz, News 4, New Brunswick, New Jersey. Rutgers president.
Okay. So yes, so that was the a reaction story, and you can see like it goes beyond just the actual reporting of the event because that's already happened. Basically, the idea here is to get the reaction, how people are feeling about the situation. Okay. All right. So that's it for that. Like I said, Monday's video will be actually it'll be like a pre-recorded video and deal with our next assignment, actually our fourth assignment already, if you can believe that. And you'll have a week to do that. But remember what you got to do for right now, and this video is intended to really kind of provide you know, information on what's expected for this football reaction story, and then also provide more clarity on the leads, which worksheets, which you really need to rewrite by Monday. Nobody got an A on it. Okay. Actually, maybe one person did. Actually, one person did. All right. Thanks very much, guys. And please let me know if you need anything. Okay. I'll talk to you.